We're live.
Okay, hi.
Tell everyone your name.
Sara.
All right, Sarah. So, how long ago did you take your first Gardasil shot?
14 years.
14 years ago.
It was right when it came out.
And were you totally up to date on your vaccines?
Yes, like 100%. I got, like I said, my mom was in the medical field, and she has since left the medical field, and
she was a pharmacist, right?
She was, yes. And she no longer believes any of that, so that's good. But
because of what happened to you?
No. And quite honestly, I didn't even recognize that as I would have never considered that like a vaccine injury, because so many people have allergies, and it was just like, and I do too. And it wasn't until I really started thinking about how, because now I have like allergy-induced asthma, and so like it wasn't until like I've had several periods where it was like multiple months long, where like every single day I was having to do like nebulizer treatments multiple times a day just to breathe, and that's like just to be able to walk through the parking lot to go to the grocery store.
Okay, let's go back a bit. So
okay.
What made you and your mum think it was a good idea for you, age 14?
17.
17.
I'm 31, sorry.
Okay, age 17 to have a Gardasil shot. Do you remember? Was there any, or you just went with it?
I really think it was just because they were like, she needs to do this. Like, at some point she's going to be sexually active, and like this will protect her, and this is great, and now she won't get cervical cancer. And I think that cancer is touted as something that's, I think everybody is like, cancer. And so it was very much, I remember it being very much like, this will prevent this cancer. And even as a parent now, like, obviously I'm very against this now, but like, I can understand that from a parental point of view. Like, if I can prevent my child from getting some form of cancer, like, obviously I'm going to do that. I think we just know now that doesn't do that. So
you took your first shot,
mm-hmm.
And how did you feel after the first one?
Well, so honestly, I don't remember feeling sick or anything, but I will never forget, like, I remember it specifically feeling like my whole arm went cold, and like I felt it, like, and I'll never forget that because it was wild. And I remember going to school after, because the appointment was like in the morning before school, and I remember going to school after and telling my friends that my arm felt numb, and that like it felt cold, like when they gave me the shot, like it was cold all the way down, all the way across. Like, I felt it go through my whole body almost. And I don't even know if that's possible, but I remember feeling like it did. And I was just like, ugh, like it gives me almost chills thinking about it, like, because it was just gross. Like, I remember it feeling gross.
We have a lot of people who took the Gardasil shot that talk about the searing pain as the needle went in.
Well, and it was like, to me, it felt like ice cold. Like, it was like ice. And I'd gotten vaccines before. And I didn't remember it ever feeling like that. Like, freezing cold. Like, it was weird. It was just really weird. And like I said, I didn't get the third one. I only got the first two, and the third one was just pure, I didn't really show up to things that I wasn't forced to show up to. So
let's go back to the second one then,
okay,
before we do the third. How did you feel after the second one? It
was basically the same. Like, it just, I remember like dreading it, and I was not dreading the first one because I've never really been, needles don't bother me at all. Like, getting my blood drawn doesn't bother me. Nothing like that bothers me. So I never was like apprehensive about shots. Just because to me, if you weren't looking, then you didn't feel it. But because of that, I was dreading the second one, and it's really like the first time in my life I've ever like dreaded a shot. And I think that was actually the last time I ever got any kind of vaccine, and not because I was like anti-vaccine after that, but just because I was kind of like, ugh, like, I didn't think it was bad for me, but I just didn't want to do it.
So did you tell your mom, say, she's a pharmacist, Mom, my arm feels crazy after that? Did she have anything to say about that?
No, but I also have always been very, I feel like, especially back then, even I was an athlete back then, and I was being tough was like a very huge point of pride for me, so probably still. I've had 2 natural births, so it's like I like to be strong. So to me, it wasn't, I wasn't on the floor dying or anything, so it wasn't something that I was going to be like, oh, like, I didn't like that. So I just wasn't going to complain about it because of that, like, I just...
Okay, so your third shot, your mother books you in for, and you can't be bothered to turn up. Well, thank God for that.
Yeah, really. I just didn't go. Honestly, I just literally didn't go. And I don't remember there being like an argument like, why didn't you go? I don't know if they even called her or anything. I don't know.
So why do you think those 2 Gardasil, and you didn't turn up your third because you couldn't be bothered, but why do you think those 2 Gardasil affected you and your allergies? Why are you putting, why, so, couldn't it be something else?
Well, I know people have told me that allergies do sometimes randomly start throughout your life. And for years I said that it was my body changing. Like, just, like every couple of years you like have a different set of cells or whatever. So for years I said that. And it was not until when I changed my mind about vaccines as a whole was when I quit vaccinating my son. And I didn't think of myself at all during that. It was just very centered around my child. And I didn't think about how they would have affected me until I was pregnant with my daughter. And I knew I wasn't going to do anything with her.
So she's had nothing?
And
he's had a few?
Up until 6 months. And the only reason I quit originally was, I know, literally like, what is that, like 8? With him, we had insurance changes. And so I was like, well, I'm not paying for it. And I already, I think every mom who's watched their children get vaccines, something feels wrong about it. Even if it's just you don't like watching your children in pain. But I don't know one single mother that wouldn't agree with that, that's watched it. I don't know one. So.
And what's the difference between your 2 children, vaxxed and unvaccinated?
So, and that was originally what I wasn't planning on talking about myself, but my daughter specifically, she has never been sick longer. I think the longest she has ever been sick is like a day and a half. And everything that she gets everything, because my son goes to a co-op 3 days a week. And so her first year of life, he was in school most of it. And every single thing that he would bring home, she would also get. And we would too. I would stay sick the longest, and then my son, and then my husband, and then my daughter. And my husband is a good example because his mom quit vaccinating them when they were 2, and he's 30 or 29. He'll be 30, and he definitely has a significantly stronger immune response than me. But he has several. I was adopted. I was a C-section, I was not breastfed, and I was fully vaccinated. And then my husband was, vaginal birth. Breastfed until he was 2.5. Only got until 2 years old, which back then was probably 3. But him and my daughter, outperform both of us.
You were very fortunate that you even got pregnant.
And learning that now, and because I didn't, when I got pregnant with my son, I wasn't an accident. People know how babies are made, but I wasn't I wasn't trying to get pregnant. I didn't think anything about it. I had a pretty healthy pregnancy I wasn't super healthy at the time, but considering that, I had a pretty healthy pregnancy, and then I had a natural birth, and that went great. And then I never even considered miscarriage or anything until I had my first one. And that was 3.5 years after my son was born, my first miscarriage. And then 6 months after that, I got pregnant again, and then I had another miscarriage. And then...
And how many weeks was these miscarriages?
They were both at 7 to 8 weeks. It was almost the exact same time frame, which was strange to me. And I feel very fortunate because I didn't have to have a D&C with either one. It was all... everything went as well as a miscarriage can go. But when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, I didn't even call a midwife or anything because I had gotten so very much in the headspace of well, obviously this isn't gonna pan out. And so I didn't even call a midwife until I think I was 15 or 16 weeks pregnant. Because at that point you're past the 12 weeks, and I was oh, okay, so maybe I should call somebody. But while I was pregnant with her, that's the first time I ever had a conversation with anybody about how the Gardasil can cause infertility or, like problems with conceiving or keeping a pregnancy. So I had never even heard that until after I had 2 miscarriages. And honestly, I know so many people that have miscarriages now, that quite honestly, it was similar to the allergy thing. Like, everybody has allergies and everybody has miscarriages. And that's just, I feel like your brain just makes you, you just think that, like, in your head, like, oh, this is normal. But it shouldn't be at all.
With that in mind, and you're right, there's a lot of miscarriages going on at the moment. Do you have any advice for someone who may be watching this that's having miscarriages? And from what I hear, it is heartbreaking. It messes your hormones up. It leaves you feeling a deep depression. Is there anything you can tell these people to make them understand?
Well, I remember feeling, especially with the second one, and it wasn't like back to back. I didn't get pregnant immediately, but it was within a year. So both of them happened within like a 1.5 year time period. And I remember feeling like broken, like something with my body wasn't working correctly. And I remember just pretty much being like, I don't even want to be pregnant again. And because it's hard mentally, but it's also like, I think people, because it is so hard mentally, I think people don't talk about how hard it is physically too. It's literally like the early stages of labor. Like, it's so painful. And I didn't know that at all before it was happening to me. And I guess, like, you're not alone. I don't think it should happen to people. Like, I think there has to be, I think the fact that we're basically taught to just accept it, like, oh, well, this is something that happens to everybody, but it's awful. And I also think people don't talk about it enough. Like, there's so many people in my life that don't even know that. So, hello.
But also, what I'm hearing, because again, it's so big, this issue right now, is the callous things that people say, whether they mean to hurt you or not, of, oh, it's just God's way of getting rid of something that was wrong. Oh, it's, everyone has miscarriages. What's your problem? It's very cold. We're really unkind to each other these days.
Well, and I worked with a lady, when I had the first miscarriage, and she was, one of the kindest people that I've ever met. And I remember her telling me, about a miscarriage that she, like, the first time that she ever was pregnant, she had lost that baby. And then she basically, after that was like, I know that I'll see him again though. So, and I remember her telling me that, and she told me that at work. And I am not like a super outwardly emotional person. I definitely am emotional, but I tend to not be very outward about it. And I remember crying at work, and I was like embarrassed, but also I was just like, no, that's like, I really needed to hear that. Like I really believe in, whether or not you're religious. Like, I think that souls are always, they even, like, energy is never destroyed. So, like, that energy and that soul that you had a bond with, because that's what being pregnant is a bond with another soul that you never lose, even if you don't meet them physically. You can talk to them, and like, even if they're not here. So that's what I would tell people.
Well, thank you so much for those words of comfort. I think that will mean a lot for a lot of people.
That's okay. Thank you.
Sorry. No, but it's emotional. It is, and it's real, and it's okay to cry because it's painful. And so you have these children, and they're wonderful,
amazing,
and
amazing.
You're feeling better.
Well, and I don't think that I want to have any more, but I'm very, very glad that I didn't give up after the 2 miscarriages. So, because I adore my daughter and my son, I love them both, obviously, but.
And we're done for vaccines. No more vaccines.
Right. Well, and that's what, my daughter's never had any. She didn't have the vitamin K. Like, she didn't have the eye ointment, which I think is bizarre that people do that anyway, because they don't even do that in Europe, I don't think. Like,
yeah, they do it in England. Well, in England's not Europe anymore, but...
it's like, gonorrhea has evolved past that, and they still do it. For what? I mean, like, that's why.
And all their eyes swell up. I mean, you can tell a baby that's had it because they've got swollen eyes.
Yeah, like they have little
shiny,
black eyes without, like without the...
But we don't know. What do we know? We didn't even get asked. They just smeared it on.
And I told a gentleman that I was talking to out there, I think that the hardest thing about this is just accepting it. I literally think that's because there's some people you can tell facts to over and over and over, and it's like you're talking to a wall. And I genuinely believe that, like, the disconnect there is that, like, accepting that people who, for some people, the only people you can afford to trust, you know, like allopathic doctors they're covered by Medicaid. Functional medicine doctors are not covered by Medicaid. Holistic practitioners are not covered by that's the only insurance that some people have. And so some people only have the option to trust allopathic medicine. And those people, accepting that you can't trust them, and also that they don't mean, I don't think a lot of them mean harm, you know, it's just what they can't help what they're taught. And they can't help that, you know, the textbooks for medical schools were bought a long time ago. They can't help that. And so, like, accepting that you can't trust that is very difficult. And I think that that's the biggest hurdle, because you want to be able to trust is like the basis of feeling secure. Like that my dad was kind of a conspiracy theorist when I was younger, and so for me, not trusting, you know, people in power was like easy peasy. But for some people that grew up very secure and like trusting things, I think that it feels almost impossible. Like that would never happen. They would never do this on purpose. You know, I do think that's the biggest hurdle. Like, because it's very hard to accept that, I think.
Well, you speak beautifully, and we're so grateful for your wisdom, and sorry for the pain you've been through, and thrilled that you have healthy children. I think I can hear them outside the bus. They are loud. Oh,
they very much are. They very much are. My daughter, recently, this is actually the only story I had planned on talking about, so sorry. But recently, like a little bit over a month ago, they both had gotten hand, foot, and mouth, and it was going around my son's school. And my daughter didn't even have a rash at all. And I have dreaded hand, foot, and mouth since I was pregnant with my son, because you look at the pictures online and it's like all the way down their face, their neck, up their arms and everything, and I was like, oh my god, like, and they say it lasts 2 weeks and it's just like super contagious, and like I've been dreading that ever since. And my daughter, not so much, not even one bump. And then my son had like 4 little bumps that went up a line on his arm, like a rash looking thing on his foot, 1 bump on his mouth, and that's it. And then there was a nephew of somebody who went to my son's school who is fully up to date on everything, and he was
covered.
Yeah. And so, like, and you know, I think there's multiple factors that go into that, like letting the fever burn, like having a healthier immune response overall because of other decisions. But like that specifically I was like, wow, because the only reason I knew it was hand, foot, and mouth is because they had sent out an email from his school about how they all had it there. Because otherwise I wouldn't have, I just thought he had a rash. Because it was only there for 3 days, and then it was gone. I mean, and that's like, I've been dreading that one sickness specifically because it's touted as being so, like, not severe, like, not like life-threatening or anything, but,
that's the fear-mongering for you.
Right. Then it's just like, oh, it's like so bad, and they'll have it for so long, and I've seen kids have it for weeks, and it was kind of a breeze.
So the moral of that story is the vaccine-free, or the ones that are least vaccinated, did better with hand, foot, and mouth.
It seemed that way.
Nice little study.
It seemed that way. It was a personal, like, up-close study that I accidentally got involved in. But that made me feel pretty, little things like that. Because, you know, the fear-mongering, like you said, it's overwhelming as a mom. Because you believe one thing and you really believe it, but then fear really it grabs you. It's sick. And I haven't doubted the decision to not vaccinate ever, but I do get scared of like sicknesses. And it's funny because I won't even think that I need to vaccinate for it, but I'm still scared of the sickness. And literally every time they get sick, they're fine. So far.
Wow.
So yeah, that was just an encouraging thing for me, that they both, but her overall, her immune response to things seems to be, I mean, light years better than mine, especially. I'm like the sickest one in our family. So
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. It was very nice to meet you.
Yeah, it was
You
nice
too.
to chat with you as well. Thank you for your advice. Much